Welcome back to Five Ever Timepieces, the podcast where time is never just a concept, but a luxury. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'm going to dive into, well, one of the most talked about releases in recent years to come from Rolex. I'm talking about the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Tiffany Blue Dial. What started out as a $6,000 retail price watch, it grew to over $20,000 on the gray market in no time. Specifically, though, I'm talking about the 41 millimeter. But why? What role does Tiffany Co play in creating these seismic shifts in the luxury watch market? And how does the color alone, the Tiffany blue color, how does that alone hold the power to send collectors into these frenzies that we see? Stick around as we uncover the story behind this phenomenon of Tiffany Co. Now, with the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Tiffany Blue Dial, the basics, let's first break down the watch itself. You have the Rolex Oyster Perpetual with the Tiffany Blue Dial that debuted back in 2020. It was debuted as part of um, it was debuted as a part of Rolex's colorful refresh for the Oyster Perpetual lineup. It wasn't technically branded as quote unquote Tiffany blue. Rolex, they just simply referred to the dial color as turquoise blue. But come on, man, let's be honest. It's unmistakably Tiffany's signature hue, and collectors, they immediately took notice of this. You have the Oyster Perpetual, you know, this line has been long celebrated for its accessibility. It's been celebrated for its timeless design. This watch is offered in all these different sizes, from all the way ranging from 31 to 41 millimeter. The Tiffany Blue Dial, it appeared across the range, making it certainly appealing, to a wide range of audience members. But at its core, this was technically an entry level Rolex retailing for less than $6,000. But what happened? What happened? Why did this seemingly simple model from Rolex, a time only watch with no complications, why did this watch become a centerpiece of hype in the watch world? It had some ridiculous gray market explosion. How do we go to $20,000 from six? This explosion of demand, I feel it came primarily for the Tiffany Blue Dial. This model was driven by uh, multiple factors, from the color, the social media influence that we saw from this watch, the scarcity of this watch, um, and then the speculation of it. Beginning with the color, the Tiffany blue color was something that's synonymous with exclusivity. It's something that's synonymous with luxury. It evokes a sense of elegance that it has become somewhat iconic in its own right. Rolex's decision to offer this dial color, it just coincided with you know growing trends. It coincided perfectly with these trends that we saw in the watch industry. Favoring bold and somewhat playful watch designs. Then there was the social media influence. You had platforms like IG playing a huge role. Like Instagram, if you go on Instagram and you type in the search bar Tiffany watches or Tiffany and Co watches, you see what I mean. Within just a few weeks of this watch's release, you had influencers, celebrities, and collectors showing it all off. Amping up the hype for this watch even more. Then there was the scarcity. Rolex is, you know, they're notorious. Scarcity, it came in to play here. It definitely was something that, despite being an entry level model, the turquoise dial, it definitely became one of the hardest configurations to find at ADs. That's where their scarcity came into play with this watch. When something's hard to get, People wanted even more. Then there was the speculation. You had gray market dealers and collectors both starting to flip these pieces for crazy profits when they saw the hype around them. What began as, some small markups soon went out of control. And by 2021, we saw the prices on the secondary market had reached from, 15 to 20,000 and sometimes even higher than that. But that's just something I feel and it comes from the effect of the Tiffany and Co. That's just simple power of branding. Now let's actually, you know what? Let's talk about Tiffany and Co. itself for a second and how its branding directly affects the luxury watch market. Now, Tiffany and Co. Well, let's just stick with the color. The Tiffany blue, rather, is it's more than just a color. It's a symbol that's cultural. It's like a cultural symbol. It's instantly recognizable. It's tied to Tiffany and Co.'s legacy of heritage. It's tied to their legacy of sophistication. And to me, this is why pieces adorned with the Tiffany and Co. stamp, or even just featuring the color, it's my opinion that this is why these pieces often command these outrageous premiums. All right, check this out. Take, for example, the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711 with the Tiffany blue dial, for example. When this was released back in 2021 as a collaboration between Patek Philippe and Tiffany and Co., it caused like absolute frenzy. It was like everyone wanted one. You know, one of the first examples of this watch that was available to the public, it went to auction and it sold for six and a half, 6 million, 6.5 million for a stainless steel watch. Yeah, that's right. $6.5 million for a stainless steel watch. So why does Tiffany and Co. Why does their name have so much power? Going back to what I said before, there's a few reasons. Going back to the two previous ones, there's the heritage, then there's the exclusivity. But then you throw in another valid reason is the appeal to collectors. The heritage of Tiffany and Co. has been, you know, Tiffany and Co. They've been in the luxury game since 1800s. So their name it evokes a sense of trust, a sense of quality. It gives that prestige of Tiffany and Co. Their legend. Then there's their exclusivity. You have the watches with the Tiffany stamp. These watches are typically available only at the Tiffany and Co boutiques, which automatically makes them rare by default. You know, so it's like those are just two of the previous ones I stated, but you added in the appeal for and to collectors. For seasoned collectors, owning a Tiffany stamped watch is like it's like having a piece of luxury history. And then there's the emotional aspect of it. Tiffany Blue carries that psychological weight. It's tied to status. It's tied to milestones, celebrations. Um, it's aspirational. You know, but what does this mean for the watch market? So, what does all this leave us? The Oyster Perpetual Tiffany Blue phenomenon. To me, it illustrates the intersection of branding. It illustrates the scarcity. It shows the social media driven hype. But this also highlights just how the watch market has changed in recent years. It's like watches like these, they are no longer just timepieces. They're investments, they're status symbols, and they're cultural touchstones. So whether it's a Rolex with a turquoise blue dial or a Patek Philippe with the Tiffany and Co stamp, these watches are rewriting what it means to own luxury timepieces here in the 21st century. For collectors, the lesson here is clear. If you've been paying attention, you understand that hype, well, it can drive prices to outrageous highs. But it's important to remember the fundamentals, So at the end of the day, the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Tiffany Blue is a steel sports watch. The question is though, how much of its value is driven by its qualities? How much of its value is driven by its intrinsic qualities? And how much of the allure of it is driven by the Tiffany Blue? Before we wrap up here today, I just want to leave you with this thought. In the world of luxury watches, it's often the stories we tell and the brands that build them that create value. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual Tiffany Blue is a perfect example of how branding and scarcity can elevate such a simple watch to an icon. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Five Ever Timepieces. Be sure to follow the podcast on all streaming platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you're following us for more insights into the world of luxury watches. Also, we're on YouTube also. But make sure you're following us to stay up in tune with what's going on in the world of luxury watches, market trends, and just a few stories behind some of the timepieces that we love. I'm your host, Chris, and until next time, keep ticking in style.